If you look at Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, in a lot of these countries, the coup is led by someone we trained. Now, I put in the National Defense Authorization Act a requirement for you to issue us a report as to how many coup leaders our taxpayers have funded the training for.
But let me say, there's no correlation and there's no causation of U.S. training to these members.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out, because in like a dozen countries, the coup leaders are people we trained. Like, is it safe to say that this failed, General Langley?
It's safe to say that there's no correlation or causation of U.S. training to a coup happening, period.
It doesn't shake us. It doesn't scare us. It gives us even more courage to move forward, because through these events, we know that the guiding line we have chosen is the best path for our country, for our people. The course of such a country, inevitably, you are forced to take strict measures. By taking strict measures to straighten things out, you create internal and external enemies. One must therefore expect these situations of destabilization, assassination, and everything, because we have affected the interests of many people. There is thus social inequality. There is corruption. There is poor management of public affairs. If we try to correct all this, inevitably, we will affect the individual interests of certain people. And these people are often wealthy, they have money, use it to often manipulate people, poorer than themselves, to turn them against us, in fact. This is internal, and these same people do not hesitate to ally, therefore, with imperialist forces that spend their time thus impoverishing us. The other thought concerns these external forces. There are many countries today that we have on our backs, and we have no choice. We have to do it. If we want our homeland to be independent, if we want our sovereignty, if we want the Burkinabés to eat to their fill, if we want our children to go to school without paying a franc, if we want that tomorrow, malaria, which is one of the diseases, the most widespread in Burkina Faso, that we can treat our population for certain ailments at zero cost. Certain dreams that we have, but we will need to make many concessions. We will need to prevent certain powers from plundering us. And that creates many enemies. So we are prepared for these situations. We are living them. We experience them. It's normal, in fact. It doesn't shake us. It doesn't scare us. It gives us even more courage to move forward, because through these events, we know that the guiding line we have chosen is the best path for our country, for our people. So we experience it like that. And the plotters, currently, we have spent 2 years raising awareness, talking, warning. People thought we were warning too much, but it was necessary, so that the Burkinabe people could see for themselves how far some would go against the country. If we had started to crack down from the beginning in a certain way, it's not obvious that you yourself would understand us. Captain Thomas Sankara was misunderstood at one point, maybe because they started strong, but it was necessary to let the people see, understand what these plotters are, communicate with the people. Today, I think people have understood a lot.
We are heading to the Yacht Bassin with Mr. Sankara Boubacar, who talks about the denunciation of agreements with France, which marked a turning point in Burkina's foreign policy. What impact did this decision have on our security and international alliances?
I was saying earlier that our action is intrinsically linked to many people abroad. So the denunciation of these agreements is one thing, but it's not just that. There are other things that are not visible that people have not perceived. There were other forces in addition to the French forces here, for example, that we made leave. They left in silence without really making noise, but people did not realize. But they did not leave because they wanted to, because they are happy, but they continue to act against us. For example, I take the agreements with France. There were mining permits here, which had been given to powers, also, who outright refuse even to support us in everything. As of today, there are a good number of permits that I have already revoked, and we will continue to revoke them. What do you think? It will necessarily influence us, because they are not happy. Certainly, on the security front, we need to be prepared. That's why at the very beginning, for example, we did not talk about the permits. We are waiting to reach a certain level as well. Before separating the tape, I think there is definitely a connection, but we have taken that data into account.
Hervé Kabore has joined us for this final segment of questions.
Yes, Chantal, Nikiema, Your Excellency, Mr. President, Ama Diallo is returning in any case to the topic of security and defense. He is in Dori in the Sahel. You have undertaken the reorganization of the army with new units and strategies. What are the results on the ground? Maimouna Ouedraogo is calling us from B2 in the Center East. She says that the humanitarian situation is also concerning. What strategies are in place to ensure the protection and return of displaced people to their original locality? Ouedraogo, Momuni is displaced in Manektaba in Tikari. He asks what exactly he has done, like Mrs. Ouedraogo from B2, to expedite the return of displaced people to their original village. He calls for an increase in the number of recruits in the FDS to liberate the area still under control. Terrorists, thank you.
Thank you, Hervé Kabore. Mr. President, the issue of the return of internally displaced persons is being discussed. What is being done for their return to their original locality?
Thank you very much. Many people have already returned, but there are also localities where even if we set foot, we often tell people not to come yet, to wait. Because each locality does not have the same vision. It is not viewed from the same angle by the terrorists. As some like to say, there are certain localities that are geographically strategic in this war. So there are areas where perhaps the forces have reconquered, maybe a few months ago, but they have not allowed the populations to return. There is work that they are doing. Then they come back and tell the populations to follow them to settle them now. So those who have already settled have been able to pass the season without problems, more or less safely. There are areas that will be resettled at the end of the season, and we know that this is followed by humanitarian situations, inevitably, because they have not been able to cultivate. But measures are being taken to support them until the next season. And why not? If we can do certain things before the season, such as fodder and others, to allow them to have activity, everything is taken into account. And I think that the Ministry of Humanitarian Action provides a weekly update that is sent to me on those who have returned, what care is being provided, those who need to return, and what is planned for their care. There are times when I can intervene and adjust certain things, depending on the different areas. I see that there is a lady who spoke about B2. B2, for example, the people are there. I don't know if there is a displaced person from B2 who is elsewhere, but some villages may be in the center east, which still needs to be settled, but there is work that needs to be done around certain forests before allowing them to settle. Certainly, the forces are there, the BDP, but we have told them not to settle for now because we haven't finished the work.
You have already highlighted the number of recruits. Momuni Ouedraogo is a PDI. He is calling on you again to increase the number of FDS recruits to liberate the area still under control.
Yes, we are in the process of recruiting. Over the 2 years, I think we have recruited more than 30,000 people, almost in the army alone. And the other forces have also recruited. We have doubled, if not more, the number of forces in the land army to be able to cope. But we are also moving at a somewhat the National Assembly, because there are many things needed around recruitment. If you notice, we recruited 5,000 at first, then we moved to 10,000, and today we are almost at 15,000. Because training should not be rushed. And it's an opportunity to express gratitude to certain countries, especially the AS countries, who gave us a helping hand at the start. Niger. We sent troops to Niger who were trained to return and settle. We sent troops to Mali who were trained. We also sent some to Togo. Today, since we have taken our destiny into our own hands, as they say, most of the European countries that offered training in Burkina have systematically closed. And some countries, unfortunately, which are our neighbors, have also automatically closed. The military relations with us sought our trainees who were with them. We responded in kind as well. But we understood that we can train ourselves. We don't necessarily need them, because training is a matter of experience in war. And we readjust by taking into account certain parameters for the new recruits. So we are moving at a pace that may seem up to date. We need to recruit a lot, but we also want to train them well, equip them well, so that they can be effective on the ground because the threat is growing.
All right. Precisely, the reorganization of the army is coming back. It's a question from Amajalo of Dori. He asks what results on the ground with this strategy.
But if we hadn't reorganized and created organic units, we wouldn't be able to hold on. It's not possible. Because as they said, as soon as we took our turn, you saw that the intensity of combat increased. We had to adapt automatically. In our army, when we say a unit, these are people who live together, who know each other, and who fight together. When there are situations, they are ready to all die together, but they cannot have certain behaviors. For a long time, we have not been fighting as a unit. We like to say in our jargon, it's contributions. Each corps sends a few soldiers, we gather them, we talk, we drop them somewhere. It's still not over. There are certain positions that are still in this configuration. And it's difficult to fight like that. You find yourself on the field, you don't know each other well. Like a football team. If we start gathering people who have never seen each other, who don't know each other, well, it's very difficult. And all our detachments were like that, our units were like that. So we quickly understood that we need to change because we ourselves did that. I was on the field with men I didn't know. I'm telling you, you're green. You go out, you arrive, you don't know what to do. There you go. You don't know who is who. It's very complicated. So today we have organic units that have allowed us to contain the situation. We have created a lot of units. And at the police level, we have reorganized a task force. They have more than a dozen that have been able to contain the situation in certain areas. At the gendarmerie level, it's the units they have created. There are 3, I think, that also ensure security on certain strategic routes. So we will continue to create organic units. The army is currently reorganizing to end this detachment within a given time frame where there are contributions. So to have organic units, and we will continue in this direction. There. We will be armed, well-structured, well-organized, and units worthy of the name.
Mr. President, how is the coordination of the fight against terrorism being conducted within the AES space given the increasing attacks in the area? AES.
Yes, the coordination is going very well. As you mentioned, the increasing attacks, the AES is a target. You see, seeing Africans unite is not good for some people, so it is necessary to do everything to break this alliance. We understand, but we are here for that. And that's why, very early on, we started to immediately establish liaison officers in each country. So there are Burkinabés in Mali and Niger who are participating in the operations center. There are Malians, Nigerians in Burkina, and so on. So in each country, there are teams of officers who have been dispatched to act as liaisons, to coordinate at the level of the operations centers. Everything that is done in joint operations. I mentioned training to you earlier. We have done a lot of training together. And if you remember, from the start, there were people who reported, in the meantime, Guinean special forces who were here. They came to help us with training. And in the AES, we have had a lot of training together. You must have seen rumors circulating about Burkinabe forces at Niamey airport and so on. We have done training together, but we also fight together. Every week, by the grace of God, you will find Burkinabe and Nigerian units maneuvering together. So, the coordination we can currently say is more than perfect to support each other as much as we can. So, currently it's the Sahelian force that is in development, what you call joint forces. So, there will be a single headquarters that will be set up with a very strong force to be able to operate throughout the entire area. And it's something that might take a few months, but we are working on it.
We once again meet Hervé Kabore for other topics of interest to the nation. Hervé Kabore.
Thank you, Chantal, Nikiema, Your Excellency, Mr. President. Jean-Paul Belga, a student in Bobo Dioulasso, wishes to raise the recruitment age in the army to allow more people to participate in the fight against terrorism. And Issa Yameogo, also in Bobo Dioulasso, says the mobilization of resources for the peace effort is insufficient given the security challenges. How to bridge the gap? And Idrissa Sawadgo, calling from Ouagadougou, Saikaka Auretsa, he asks why former President Damiba has not yet been extradited to Burkina. Thank you.
Thank you, Hervé Kabore. We will start with the last question. Why has President Damiba not yet been extradited to Burkina Faso?
All right. So on this question, I think there have been for some time now his proven implications in these destabilization projects and all. But the latest project where nonetheless it was linked with terrorists, we have therefore resumed discussions with the Togolese authorities. Even today maybe we should meet, but with, well, the exchanges I was supposed to have with my people, I decided to postpone this meeting. We are on it because, in all honesty, we did not want, at the early stages, to behave unpleasantly with the former president. No matter what is said, he is a former president. And so, you have the Togolese authorities. He can stay there. We have no problem. And we communicate very well about everything that is happening with the Togolese authorities. And really, there is no issue on this front. As soon as there were certain visits, they would tell us if he wants to undertake certain actions. They would inform us, actually. And currently, I think they too must be shocked and surprised to discover what is happening. We have already spoken on the phone, but we cannot discuss quite sensitive topics over the phone. We need to meet in person to discuss a number of topics, and once we do, well, you will be informed on this matter.
So you are reassuring the public opinion and very soon he will be extradited to Burkina?
I am not reassuring, I am hoping.
All right.
There you go. If I say I assure, I might have lied if it's not done. I prefer to tell you that I hope.
All right.
We will answer the question from Mr. Park Belgaja Osteda, who wishes for the recruitment age of the FDS to be raised, to allow more people to participate in the fight against terrorism.
I think we've already raised it, you know. If we raise it too much, they won't have much time for activity. Last year, when we went to Fada at the university, some students expressed exactly that. We had just launched the gendarmerie exam, I think. Immediately I instructed to revise the announcement, and thus increase the age by 2 years, I think. That was done. Currently, this year we went up to 35 years, 34 or 35 years for the soldiers. The academy also, we had launched with somewhat restricted age, but they revised the announcement and raised the level. So there I have again, so I think that where we are, at the level we are, it's not bad after all. If we raise it too much, we will recruit people who may not necessarily be physically fit to keep up with the training pace. This could still pose an aging problem in the army in a few years. So we need to calculate all this before taking action, but we will study it.
Mr. Yameogo Issa from Bobo Dioulasso says this: the mobilization of resources for the peace effort is insufficient given the security challenges. How can we bridge this gap?
The security challenge is enormous. The mobilization, we can say it's insufficient, but already it allows us to do certain things. There are some partners who have agreed to support us as well, it must be said, in acquiring equipment. But we will see. We are working on certain issues, but we hope to gather a number of arguments to present to the people. And it is up to the people to decide if we can do something else to mobilize or not. Because today, since we have been here, you will never go somewhere to even want just 1 franc of a loan to equip yourself and actually get it. So we have understood that. We have removed the issue of credit, of loans, from our military equipment matters, and so it is the people who contribute, and we try to do what we can with that. But until then, we are waiting for certain equipment when we launch the battle, if there is a need, to increase the pace of mobilization. We will present the arguments to the people, and the people will decide what will be done.